guys, welcome to the BFF Report. I'm your host, Mike aka Phony. Today I have a game called Panzar. Some of you guys caught a video I posted on my YouTube channel a week ago or so, talking about, it was basically, hey guys, check out this awesome Warhammer Wrath of Heroes style of just arena game. Didn't want to call it a MOBA, didn't want to call it an MMO. It just kind of has its own type thing going for it where it pulls from all these genres. Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, Panzar has had a playable release, we'll call it, in Russia for several months. I want to say January. It wasn't until just a couple weeks ago that we actually had an actual beta release in the EU. But they haven't done anything official yet in North America, which is probably one of the reasons why some of you guys are experiencing some latency issues. Now, as someone who lives on the US West Coast, I can tell you that I've experienced very little latency issues. Nothing that's really stood out as something that's, I feel like is making the game unplayable. So don't let any talk of latency or lag or anything hold you back from at least giving it a shot. Now, the first thing you're gonna do in Panzar is obviously gonna be creating a character. You don't have any character creation options up front, and as a matter of fact, all of this gear you're seeing here on these guys is kind of like the best gear. It's one of those typical things, like for example in Vindictus, for you guys who played that, how every time you go through and create a character, you can see what they look like in all the best stuff. And then when you of course get into the game, your character's practically naked. But unlike most free-to-play games, you can actually make one of each because you have 8 character slots. So if you want to have 8 berserkers, sure, do it. But if you want to have one of every single class, you could do that, which is, again, it's rare because in most free-to-play games, they consider character slots a commodity, something they can actually sell to the free-to-play community. Now, that doesn't mean these guys don't monetize stuff. These guys are okay with monetizing almost everything. We'll get to that in a moment. But once you get in, you have the opportunity of doing a tutorial. Even if you've already done the tutorial, do it. It's an easy way to get a ton of consumables, health consumables, energy consumables, whatever, right? You want to do this. As you can see, you get a little bit of cinematics, you get a lot of voiceover here, right? A little story and everything, but don't get spoiled by this. There's nothing else like this in the game so far, okay? This opening cinematics and all that stuff and the voices and the humor and all that stuff is completely gone once you get into the game. It's not a bad thing, I'm just saying, like, you're not gonna have cutscenes every time you finish a battle. Now, most of you guys are gonna choose a class that you're gonna get in, you're gonna get destroyed by a berserker or frozen almost permanently by a frost witch, and you're gonna quit, and that's gonna be it. Don't fret. Once you learn how to actually play the game and you get good at it, it's not difficult to handle these things, okay? This feeds into the balance issues that some people say that exist in the game. I'll admit, there are some things that are a bit overpowered in some level ranges, okay? Especially if you're inexperienced. But as I progressed playing the tank was my primary character. I absolutely love this thing. As I progressed playing this, I learned to deal with all of these, and I found ways to kind of maneuver around it, which basically what I'm saying is, if you don't like something because you think it's overpowered, chances are you're probably just bad. On the flip side, you don't have to be even remotely good at the game to do some kind of damage using the Frost Witch or the Berserker, so don't feel bad. In other areas of combat, I wish that there was a bit more oomph to when you hit something. Right now, when you hit something, it kind of feels like you're just kind of slicing right through them. The screen kind of shakes a little bit, right? I think it's mostly my mouse moving. I'm kind of subconsciously adding excitement to every hit. But for the most part, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of oomph to it. You see the damage numbers pop up, which is great. It's not very exciting. Some of us play WoW or other games where anytime you crit or something, you have a number that's large and it flies up in the air and you're like, yeah! That doesn't really exist here. It's definitely lacking some oomph in that department. But combat overall does feel really good, and once you get the hang of managing all of your abilities, which there aren't a lot of them, you should find it to be very fluid and a lot of fun. Now, if you notice, there's a lot of action. The reason why is because the majority of the maps you're going to encounter are King of the Hill. A lot of people actually assume that this is primarily a King of the Hill game. There are other map types, like a conquest/assault tile map, but you only see them. I've seen them once. I played this game for so many hours, and I've seen it once! Obviously, there's a problem with the way that their map rotation works. That being said, the King of the Hill mode is insanely fun. All you have to do is, just like any King of the Hill game, you occupy the center for as long as possible. You gain points for your team by just simply being there. And every map provides its own unique twist, whether it be via terrain or via mechanics where things move. For example, in this arena here, you notice the floor drops out from underneath it, and if you're a tank like me, you got this come at me bro pose. You can sit there and just kind of hold yourself up while everybody tries to fire things at you. You see my magical shield in front of me, right? While I stand there, what's up? But I want to go ahead and say that there are roughly 5 to 7 different King of the Hill style maps and at least 2 different Conquest/Rush style maps. A lot of people
have described one to me that I have not yet seen. The one I saw was amazing. You have these points you take over, and then you move on to the next one, and then you move on to the next one, and then there's this point where you're on this giant moving, like, gear... I don't even know. This giant moving thing that rotates constantly. That was a bitch to get on because they maintain a pretty good defensive. But again, you're probably never going to see this anyways. And the other one, again, a mythical second Russian map exists somewhere out there that other people have seen. So it's definitely fair to say that the game is going in the right direction in terms of level design, offering us different scenes, something to make us feel like we're not playing the same thing over and over again. Now, speaking of scenes, you guys have had plenty of eye candy so far that you probably all come to the conclusion that this game looks fantastic. It's running on CryEngine 3, and for those who are unfamiliar, this is what Crysis 3 runs on. And so all of the animations and all of the graphics are very, very scalable. So check this out. Here is what this area looks like right now. Okay, this was everything maxed, all right? Everything's green, shiny, we have a little bit of bloom, whatever. And now we can kick it down to the lowest possible settings, and we get this. As you can see, this is a severe difference. This is like pre-vanilla WoW, like type bad, which is great because that should mean that it's going to run on almost everything. But I was definitely pleased with the fact that it does indeed cater to people who have higher end machines. I mean, we look at this game, we look at, majority AAA releases, boxed single player campaign style AAA releases, and this game blows it out of the water. It just looks so good. And then of course, we compare this to like Smite and of course the Wrath of Heroes footage that we got from that before they closed down. It obviously takes that out as well. It is just a good looking game. Let's go ahead and take a moment to go over some of the stuff here on the back end. This is all obviously very important stuff. Everything from crafting to cosmetic changes to the cash shop to exchanging currency for one for the other. There's all kinds of things here that are very interesting. First off, whenever you finish a match after level 4, whenever you finish a match, you have a slider here. And the slider will determine whether or not you get loads of experience or loads of gold. And if you decide to go the all gold route, you will literally get 0 experience for playing. So you can effectively twink, as is referred to in MMO terms, but basically you can sit there and max out your character at the top of a certain bracket. So for example, there's a bracket that's 1 through 4. Once you hit 5, you are now pushed up to like levels 5 through 8, and then it just kind of goes on from there. So if you feel like you're not quite geared enough to move on to the next bracket, you can just sit there and just accumulate gold, accumulate resources, materials, sit there and craft all day, and just continue to work on building your character until he's ready to move on to the next bracket. Now over here you have the crafting section, and this is a fairly simple concept. You don't have to actually go out and chop down trees or mine or anything like that. You just get resources when you finish a match, and that's pretty much it. Obviously it's all like luck based. There's no skill whatsoever with gathering any kind of material, but once you get enough to build something, all right, or make like a healing potion or whatever, you have, of course, like every free-to-play game, you have a chance to fail. Of course, you can modify that by putting points into your skill tree, but I'm pretty sure you'd rather put that in actual abilities and skills that you could use on the battlefield versus, in crafting. Now again, some of these recipes I actually purchased, and the way this works is you have a number of items here. You could purchase either recipes for them, or you could purchase them straight out using the real money currency they have in the game called gems or something. Now, here's the thing, almost everything in the game can be purchased with gold, except for some of the temporary buffs, and the buffs could last 1 day or 7 days or 30 days. For the most part, you can craft the 7-day ones. You can't craft the 30 or the 1-day items. That doesn't seem like that big of a deal to me. I've already got my character up to level 10. I've seen all the gear up to that point, and there's been nothing that has been like, oh, I absolutely have to buy gems or buy real money currency in order to purchase that item. That's the only option for it. So for the most part, it's pretty safe on that end. And even if somebody were to go and throw a whole bunch of real money at the game, they couldn't go and buy level 10 gear unless they were within range to purchase it. And that's so there's no way that somebody can, I guess, overgear for a specific level. So for the most part, that is all right. Now here's the interesting thing. Check this out. What you're watching right now, I spent like $15 for real money currency here, and I'm gonna throw it at the game at my level. I can level up using this currency. Now, I already got to level 4 and point something by myself, but just look at it, boom, 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 all the way up. That, to me, was mind-blowing. I didn't know how to handle it at first. It's like, wait a minute, I just straight up bought levels. Now I'm level 10, what's going on? And at first, I didn't get a single match because nobody was like level 10 at the time. It was very early on in beta. But yes, I did indeed, right here in front of your face, level my character from like 5 to 10 or whatever, using real money currency. The problem is now I am severely undergeared for this level. I need to go ahead and spend either more real money on buying gear just to put me on par with everybody else, or I could craft it by purchasing recipes using gold. Now, here we go again. I can take this real money currency, these gems, and I can turn them into gold, just like that. And one gem translates into like 50. It translates into a ton of gold. It costs nothing. First off, the gems are stupid cheap. I don't know if this is a beta thing or whatever, like they're testing it out, but I don't know how these guys plan on making money if I just leveled up a character and bought him a ton of gear and I had money left over for $15, and that's it. Now it's like, okay, great. I've got this character pretty much where I want, and I have gems left over. So it was pretty cheap, but just like any free-to-play game, they nickel and dime you. They can if you let it get out of hand. There are these temporary buffs, like I said, these amulets and whatnot that you could buy that only last for 1, 7, or 30 days, and those things can go through your money fairly quickly. Or if you run out of healing potions and you don't have the mats to buy more, or if you don't feel like using materials to buy more, or whatever the reason is, then you can just go and just buy them straight out using your gems. So they allow you to buy almost everything with gems, but going back to the game side, the actual combats and arena mode, these changes don't really have that much of an impact there. There's the occasional thing where I've seen where people who are over-leveled will get sucked into a lower-level game, and that's a matchmaking issue. That has nothing to do with buying power. That's just straight-up matchmaking. And sure, someone could buy something that allows them to move 5% faster, giving them that much of an edge. But again, you can craft that if you actually had the materials to do so. So it really comes down on that end to, are the resources available enough to make that a viable option? I don't know. We won't actually know until they're done tuning it, until beta is over. But all I can tell you is right now, I'm having so much fun just playing the game. I've never lost to a fight and said, you know what, I lost that fight because that guy is moving 5% faster. No, I've always lost a fight because I didn't time my block correctly, or I moved into a position that I shouldn't have been in, or I got caught up in a Frost Witch's snowstorm or whatever, and I didn't block before I froze solid. So there's always been mistakes that I made as a player. Outside of that, I've not experienced any OP issues from, pay to play or pay to whatever players. But after reading comments from the last video I posted about Panzar on my channel, I could see that your mileage may vary for sure. Like, obviously, some people are going to consider a lot of this stuff pay to win or pay to whatever, and I totally get that. It seems that way for sure because you could buy practically anything. At the same time, you could buy recipes for everything too. So here's my suggestion: don't level past 4. Just stay at 4, move the slider over, and just earn tons of gold. By the time you're done playing, like, probably 100 games at level 4, probably having a blast, because I'd imagine that people who are quote-unquote pay to win, right, that are paying money into this game in order to get more power, they're probably going to be past level 4 anyways. And even so, it's very easy to accumulate enough gold to buy all the gear you need to be right on par with them anyways. And then over time, after playing for so long, you're going to have so much gold saved up that when you do end up moving to the next bracket, you'll be fine. You'll be able to buy the recipes you need, and then you can build all the gear that you could possibly want, and you'll be right on par with everybody else. So you see, because that aspect exists, that tells me it's not pay to win. It's pay to win if you rush the levels as a free player. If you rush the levels and you end up being undergeared, and that's unfortunate. But they give you the option to stay within a certain bracket. So why wouldn't you stay within a certain bracket and just play for free, get all the stuff you need, and then you could go on better prepared? To me, that's balance. But obviously not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's fine. But overall, I do think that Panzar is off to a great start. It's still early in their dev cycle. They've only just went beta in EU just like a couple weeks ago. So we know that things are coming down the line from them. I'm looking forward to seeing some NA servers. I think what I'm going to do is, because I've already kind of over leveled my character, my tank, so now I'm kind of sitting in this nexus where I'm not really getting matches. And a lot of you guys watched the last video I did and you guys saw this loading screen. You were like, oh, why is it taking so long to load? That's actually the lobby. They haven't put the lobby in yet. So you're sitting there in the matchmaking process waiting for players to join up, and it looks like you're loading and it's taking forever. So that's not really the case. Now they're going to be adding that stuff according to the forums. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to re-rolling and making another tank and just kind of chilling at level 4, just seeing basically how much gold I can earn. Everybody that's played this game has said that they've loved it. outside, of course, of the issues I've already outlined in this video so far. And while there are a lot of free-to-play games out there that aren't even worth your bandwidth, I definitely don't think that's the case here. I highly recommend you go and check it out. And again, heed my advice. If you don't plan on spending any money on the game, then just stay at level 4 and just enjoy that bracket, because it's gonna be fun. You're gonna have some balance issues unless you play a Frost Witch or unless you play a Berserker. But other than that, it'll let you get good at the game, and I honestly think that you'll probably enjoy it beyond that, so long as you go in prepared.
Alright guys, so that is pretty much it. Feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I realized that again, I was definitely taken by the pay for the levels, just like that, click, click, and boom, all of a sudden I'm level 10. Obviously it gets pretty expensive beyond that. I didn't buy anything more, but it definitely took me, it kind of caught me off guard. But, like I said, if you do just buy levels and you jump into a match, you're gonna be severely undergeared. You have to buy gear on top of it, and then what? Then you're just on par with everybody else who's already been inside of that particular bracket. So it's an interesting thing to look at, but at the same time, just stay at level 4 and just have a blast. I have another character I've been playing with that I've been sticking at level 4, and I enjoy it very much. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Mike B, aka Phony, BFF Reports. Next week, I think Neverwinter is on the docket, and then maybe Dust 514 finally, because it's launching soon. Well, guys, I'll leave you guys with this, I guess. I didn't realize you could see the areolas. Didn't know that. All right, awesome. See you guys later.